Okay, we're live and the speaker is still on. Okay, good evening, guys. We're somewhere in September. I think it's the 24th. It's 8 o'clock. It's a Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Sorry for being late. We're a few minutes late. I ran into some technical issues, but we finally made it. It's great to have you here. My name is Erik. I'm Dutch. I hope you bear with me tonight. I've been in Ireland now for 2.5 years. My English is not super fluent. But okay, I hope we manage and get the data across tonight. It's great to see that you're all coming in numbers. We're on Facebook tonight. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram, and of course, we have the people here in the chat who have joined in on Zoom. It's great. Let me have a quick look. Chantal, it's great to have you. Emmanuel, it's great to have you. I think I know you, Emmanuel, from somewhere. Glenda, good to have you. Hussein, welcome, my friend. Nicolintje, you're back again. That is great. Pedro is back again. That's fantastic. Sandra, first time here? Could be. Anyway, welcome. And we have Sue, Tony Patterson, and Vicula. Guys, it's fantastic to have you. So I always have a question at the very, very beginning, just because it's like it's a meetup, Eventbrite type of activity. And so maybe you want to share in the chat why you wanted to attend this webinar tonight, and maybe also want to share with us where you are from. So two things. Please feel free to use the chat. The chat is wide open. Why are you here tonight, and what made you come to this webinar in particular? I'm curious about that. Maybe you want to share this with other people, and if you want to, you can also share where you're coming from. Yeah, but myself, I have a passion to basically pass on knowledge. It's something I really love to do. I do one-on-one consultations. I do personality testing. I deliver seminars, webinars, these kind of things. I've been doing that for quite a bit. You will always find me reading and studying and these kind of things. And then the next thing is to get these eureka moments, apply it, put it into application, get the results, then see how things change in life and just instantly pass it on to others. I was in Copenhagen in the weekend, and I ran into a fantastic tool. Hey, this is so applicable to what we're going to cover tonight, procrastination. So I instantly felt I wanted to share it with you guys. All right. So let's see. Let me try to see what's happening in the chat. Okay, Fikula, I get distracted so easily, and important things get procrastinated. Okay, thank you very much, Vikula. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. With Tony from London. Hey man, that is fantastic. All the way from London. And Vikula also from the UK. Great. Okay, I really struggle with time management. One of those who wants to do but does not. Okay, I got you. So tonight we're actually going to have a look at a permanent solution for that, which is to say, handle the procrastination once and for all. It's probably too good to be true when I tell you, okay, it's actually possible, but it is, and I'm going to show you the solution tonight. So then we have Emmanuel, based in Ireland, join this webinar because I would like to re-motivate myself and stop procrastinating. All right, Emmanuel, that's great. Thank you for your answer. Sue, all the way from Singapore. Okay, so Sue, fill me in. What is the time right now in Singapore? Are you, let me see. It's later, right? It's much later. You're somewhere past midnight or something, right? Wow, amazing. And you're still there joining this webinar. I admire that, Sue. It's just fantastic. Anyway, Sue from Singapore says, I wish to address inconsistency and showing up due to procrastination I wish to no longer have that behavior or attitude. Okay. Thank you, Sue. Glenda, I have lots of plans and can't seem to get them done. Feel lazy all the time. Diagnosed with depression, with 2 little ones, full of life, need to do more, but can't seem to do so. 3 a.m. in the morning. Wow, here we go. Okay, guys, thank you so much for for what you just put in the chat. So that's very promising. It seems that we're going to be having a very, very lively chat. I see that Lola is in the waiting list. So there's more people coming over tonight. That is great. So first of all, procrastination. There's somebody waiting. Procrastination. So basically, as in a lot of the English vocabulary, it's very, very interesting if you look up the etymology, which is the root, the origin of the word itself. It will actually make you a lot smarter. So in procrastination, you have the word pro, which means, for example, in favor of, or it means ahead of, or it means forward. So pro means forward in Latin. Cras means tomorrow in Latin. So you obviously get to know the full meaning of the word, which is to forward to tomorrow. And we know what that means. That means tomorrow you're going to do the same thing again, right? Anyway, so we're going to be starting with something that is very interesting. It has a lot to do with life itself. And maybe, Dita, you could help me out with putting the first slide there on confront, please. So guys, we have Dita in the chat. She's the host tonight. She's helping me. We're going to put something here in on the screen as well. And the first topic that we're going to cover is confront. And we mean both the noun and the verb. By confronting, we mean to face something or to face an individual. And by that, we mean actually a direct observation. And we're going to cover this tonight, like what does the mind do? What kind of tricks does the mind pull on you to make sure that there's no confront happening? So if you can confront something, let's say you have a neighbor and the guy is really a bully and he's pissing you off all the time, and you just decide to confront him. And if you would confront him and nothing would kick in that would make you afraid, or that would make you step back, or that would make you flinch or whatever, and you could all the time even stay calm and have the feeling that your buttons are not really pushed, you could probably say, you're really confronting the person. You're actually facing the person without stepping back, without stepping sideways. You're facing the person and you're directly confronting the individual. Now, if your confront, now I'm using it as a noun, if your confront is really high, you can handle a lot of things. So one of the definitions for confront is direct observation. The other one is to face without flinching or avoiding. And with flinching, we actually mean to make a sudden small movement because of fear or pain. So we're going to do a little demo here because there's something here that happens in our minds. So what I want you to do, Dita, you can take the, thank you, can take it away. Good, so we're going to do something for the fun, and that is a little mind drill. That is a little mind drill. So what we can do is, I'm just here in front of the camera. I can't see you guys unless somebody's got a camera on, but I don't see that at the moment. You can just see me. I would like to practice a mental image and just make you aware of what is a mental image. So the way we could do that is you could close your eyes. You could close your eyes, try to do that. Just close your eyes and imagine that you're sitting in the favorite chair in the living room in the house where you grew up. So imagine you're a young kid again, and you're sitting in your favorite chair where you used to sit in the living room. So maybe you were 10, 12 years old or whatever. You can pick any chair where you would used to sit often. But imagine it's your favorite chair, and Now what I would like you to do is actually close your eyes and look around and see if you can actually see the TV in that room. Can you see the TV in that room? And if you have spotted it, then just decide for yourself, where would it be? Is it on your left-hand side? Is it straight forward? Is it on your right-hand side? Slightly left, slightly on the right-hand side? Is it behind you? Whatever. If you spotted a TV, see if you can actually see the frame, if you can see its color, if you can see where the buttons or the knobs were on the device. Well, maybe let's have a next look, and you just keep your eyes shut and see if you can actually find a table in that room. And just glance at the table in your mind. See if you can actually see the surface. See if you can see the collar or collars. If you can see if the table had any drawers, and what shape that table had, what height and what size that table had. All right, and if you have that, then now let's find a window, any window. Let's find any window in the room. And then once again, determine, was this straight up? Was this on your left or right-hand side? Was it behind you? Maybe that window actually had blinds, or maybe it had curtains. Maybe you can actually once again see what kind of texture the blinds or the curtains had. And then finally, let's locate the kitchen. So from where you're sitting, where's the kitchen? Good. So now, my question to you is, you can open your eyes. Maybe we can use the chat again, and just indicate yes or no in the chat if you actually had a picture, or if you actually in your mind could see these objects, like the TV, the table, the window, maybe even just vaguely. It doesn't have to be sharp, but some kind of a semblance of that table, that window, that TV. Something that actually occurred in the mind, that you actually get to see something. Guys, you're amazing. So everybody got to see. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good. So this is the first thing that you can actually learn about the mind. Your mind is actually making pictures. So how does that work? It works like this. There's your body. All right, and your mind makes pictures. And if we just keep on recording these pictures minute after minute, or maybe second after second, or maybe a number of pictures per second, and we plot that in time, we get something like a time track, where you just have a lot of pictures recorded in time. Now, your own observation was most likely that these pictures happen to be 3D, right? So we got three-dimensional pictures. Well, just being facetious, this is not something that the average psychologist knows. And we're going to do a little bit more, and in 10 minutes, you'll know more than you can find in any psychology textbook. So what happens is that you would close your eyes and you would say, well, the TV was over there, and then here in front of me I would have a table, and I had a big window over there, and I got a window over there, and I have the kitchen behind me, right? That is more or less how it will work. So these pictures are not in your brain. You wouldn't say, well, the TV is over here, and then the table is like in the center of my brain, and I had a window just next to my temple, and the kitchen would be in the back of my brain. You wouldn't do that. You would actually say, well, the TV is over there, there's a table right in front of me, I got a window over here. I got a kitchen in the back. I would say, well, the TV is about 3 meters away from me. Okay, so you could actually call these pictures mental images or mental image pictures. In other words, they are not chemical pictures. They are not materialistic pictures. They are not recorded in water and fat. These pictures are mental. They're not physical. So there was an assumption many years ago. Somebody thought he was really clever, he was really smart, and he said, well, all the memories must in the brain. And then everybody else followed and said, oh yeah, of course, that must be true. Obviously, I mean, where else could it be, right? So nobody had actually ever really seen a mental image picture. So they just said, well, it must be the neurons that are connected in the brain, and that must be your mind. Well, and then we actually get a quote-unquote science that never worked, because basically the first assumption wasn't an observation, and the assumption was wrong. Good. All right, guys. So I'm being very, very blunt. Okay. Now, let's imagine that we have somewhere here in the mind a bad experience with a certain person. Can you see because my markers are not really great, can you see what I'm drawing? Just if somebody could just respond yes or no. Okay, Sue, thank you so much. Okay, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sue, you're the best. I love it. All right, so let's say here, somewhere back in time, you had a bad confrontation with somebody, and that confrontation just happened to be very painful. It just happened to be a very, very painful moment. So I'm just putting that lightning symbol there. Lightning, that stands for charge. It stands for pain. It stands for painful emotion, right? That kind of stuff. And you probably agree with me that if you think back of such a moment, that you actually might feel the emotion coming back to you, right? Or you might feel the sensation coming back to you. Just like whenever you think of a loss, like a loss of an animal or a possession or a person that was very dear to you, you think back of that loss, what happens? You're actually going to feel the emotion coming up again, right? Does that make sense? Somebody can put something in the chat if that would be a yes or no. Would that make sense? And if you think back of something painful, that you actually get some sensations again? Okay, so thank you once again. Feel goosebumps. Okay, so definitely it actually produces an effect. Cool. Thank you, Sue. Emmanuel, yes. Okay, good. Now, let's go and see what could happen in real life. This person, he feels he has to talk to his boss. He has to talk to his boss. Boss is right here. Let me just change the color again. Let's say that is you. You have to talk to the boss. Maybe somebody else. Doesn't really matter. It's just an example. However, your boss has got all the features, or very similar features, to the person that you've long forgotten about, but with whom you had a very, very painful, nasty, whatever, unwanted kind of experience. So your boss got a number of features, maybe like the same voice, maybe the same height, maybe, I don't know, certain attributes about the guy. that would make you strongly remind something that happened in the past, even though you wouldn't have a clear vision of whatever that was. So what is going to happen now? What's going to happen, very likely, is that in terms of confronting, this person is not going to confront his boss straight. There's something going to come in between. The boss might actually trigger the similar past experience, even though the guy is a bit oblivious of the whole thing, but it's still recorded in his mind. And now the past experience kind of like moves to present time. And he is now looking at a mental picture that is somehow covered in a cloud because he can't really see it. But what he does is he does perceive. He does perceive something, and what he perceives is that kind of unwanted feeling. Does it make sense this way? Does that make some sense, guys? Let me know in the chat if that's a yes or no. Sue, I think you nailed it. Yes, like a block. That's what we call a mental block, right? And this is just happening all the freaking time to us. Every time you procrastinate, it is because of this mechanism. There's something there that tells you, don't go. Don't do it. Something that makes you feel back off. Something that makes you feel afraid. Something that makes you feel that you're doubting yourself. You shouldn't move forward. Now, how cool is that you can actually learn everything there is to learn? I mean, not everything about the mind, but how cool is that you can just learn how the mind works in what? 20 minutes. You can consult any psychology textbook. You won't find this. Is that crazy? These people don't know what is actually happening. But that is what is happening. So at the end of the evening, I'm going to offer you a book that actually gives you way more insight in actually how the whole mechanism works and how you can permanently fix it. Cool? Does that sound cool, guys? All right, here we go. Sounds cool, yeah? I thought so. Well, it sounded very cool when I read it for the first time. I said, man, if that is true, I got to fucking try this. You know, this is good. This is good. Actually, from ever the first moment that I read about it, I just delved into it. I took my highlighter and I couldn't stop highlighting. So wow, you know, now I got to try this. I got to try this because this is so freaking good. I got to know more. All right. Good. Okay, everybody, thank you for the answers. Now, so there is actually a scale when it comes to confronting things. Yeah. So what we mean, once again, by confronting is that if that would be completely absent, and you could actually confront your boss without any hesitation, without nervousness, just being you like you normally are when you go out with your friends. Just like being you when you're cheerful, when you're happy, when there's no self-doubt present, when there's no nervousness present, you know, and the way that you talk to your friends. If you could do the same thing with everybody, including your boss, including the president, you know, the king, I don't care, anybody, a bum in the street, without that thing intervening, and you could actually have a comfortable discussion, facing the person, getting your communication across, getting your intentions across, and making the things happening that you want to make happen, then you're actually doing the real confronting. That will actually get you somewhere. All right, so we're going to actually have a look at a confronting scale, and it's going to pop up right now. All right, so we see a scale that actually goes from top beingness to bottom dubbing, or you could say it goes from dubbing from the bottom to beingness all the way to the top. Good. So actually what we're going to do right now is basically cover these terms: dubbing, invisible, elsewhere, experience and participation, and beingness. We're going to cover them in a bit of detail, and I'm just going to leave that on quickly and have a quick look at the chat. All right, let's see. Tony, you're with Sue. Okay, cool. Okay, guys. So some of you guys are actually writing to Dita. So the question is, can you just write directly in the chat, which is not to discover your full potential, but just write directly to the chat. Yeah, then I can actually see what you're saying. Cool. So we got the chat very alive, guys. I'm happy with that. Let's keep it going. I got a half an hour to go. And my sweet Dita, you can actually make the screen vanish again. So, Vikula, please can I ask, what is the difference between what you're sharing with us, creative visualization and visual motor rehearsal? Well, so here's the thing. What we're actually covering tonight is a very precise technology. It doesn't lean on any other practice. It doesn't lean on any other ology. So what we're doing tonight is not psychology. It is not psychiatry. It is not some kind of mental tricks or hypnosis, or also not this stuff that is in The Secret, like visualization. Visualization actually works, but you have to be super able, super competent. I mean, for 90% or 95% of the people, it actually doesn't work, because that whole visualization depends on you being positive, being free of negativity. And usually when we want to achieve something, instantly some negative thought, some self-doubt kicks in. So by the end of the evening, Bikula, I'm going to show you where the data is actually coming from. So bear with me. It's going to be okay. You're going to get the full answer. All right. So first of all, what did we see at the bottom of the scale that was actually dub in? So now, dub-in is actually a term that comes out of Hollywood that is basically, let's say you're making a film, but then you still have to add the sound, or you still have to add voices, or you still have to add noise, or, you know, you have to add something. So you would actually have a film. Let's say that's the footage, right? And then in that footage, you have a separate channel where you add in the sound. You add in the voices of the actors, or you add in explosions and what have you, right? That's called the dubbing. Now, how do we experience that in real life? So the way that works is that, let's say you have to do a certain duty. Let's say you have to confront a person, like your boss or like anybody else. Maybe if you're a salesperson, you have to confront a buyer. Or maybe you have to look for potential buyers. Or maybe if you're working on in an industry, maybe you have to settle something with a superior or with another person. And your mind might actually dub in. You might actually look at somebody and say, "Oh, he looks quite angry to me. I don't think he's willing to talk to me. He's probably going to snarl at me when I ask him a question." or maybe even if I ask him something, he might fire me. It's probably not a good idea to ask about a race because he's probably going to get mad. All these figure kind of thingies that happen when you feel like, oh, I know I should do that. I know I should do that, but I'm backing up because I have the feeling that the other person is going to respond in a certain way. Have you observed that in yourself? Have you observed that in anybody else? Just that's a question in the chat, guys. Have you observed this in yourself? This kind of dubbing where you kind of like observe a person and then you already figure, oh, that person is not going to be happy to talk to you. That person might snarl at you. Yeah, whatever, You just look at a person or maybe even look at a dog and say, he's going to bite. Something is going to happen. Yeah, Emmanuel, you have observed that in yourself, right? Nicolene, yeah, thank you, yeah. Okay. All right, so what happens is that is a kind of like a dubbing. It's like something there in the mind that comes in between that makes you actually do a type of confronting that isn't really confronting because something is just kicking in and it's giving you that charge. It's giving you that nervousness. It's giving you that self-doubt. It's giving you that back off. And in other words, it is simply creating that effect on you that you're not doing it. Does that make sense? So sometimes, as it is not so easy to notice that with my virtual calls without the cameras turned on. Okay, good. Got you. Thank you very much. So guys, is that dubbing, is that explanation of dubbing, is that a bit clear? Spela, yes. Thank you very much. Tony, yes. Okay, very good. Yeah, so we can actually see the mechanism, how that works in life, right? You want to do something, and now you're hesitating because you have a second thought that just comes in. You observe, you know that you need to act, and you don't. You don't, because something kicks in, it takes over the control here, it starts to control your body. If you don't obey, well, now you're going to get a butterfly feeling and what have you. Fear is just going to take over, controlling you completely, and you're simply not going to do that. Good. Not good at all, but okay, good. What that I mean that we're going to go to the next one. The next one above would be invisible. So what does that mean? Well, sometimes you have probably experienced in some kind of an activity, like a game or a dance or going out with friends or participating in a group, even if it's a small group of 2 people or a large group, you were part of the group and you had an assignment or you had a task or you had a certain role and you felt like, I can't possibly do this. I just can't possibly do this. I got to run to the toilet and I'm going to sit on the toilet for 2.5 hours until this whole thing is over. And then I'm going to show up again. Or I'm just going to be sick for the rest of the day because I can't do this. Or I'm just going to disappear and I'm not going to show up until this thing is done, until this thing is behind me. And it makes you, for example, it makes you a spoil sport, right? You can't participate, and you kind of like you're aware of the fact that you should be doing something, but now you're making yourself invisible. You might be hiding somewhere. You might be hiding without letting anybody know that you're hiding. You're simply blown. Now, we've all experienced that in our lives, right? Have you ever seen this in yourself or in somebody else? By the way, I got a great tea, guys. I got a ginger tea with cayenne pepper, cloves, honey. It's an amazing recipe. I'll recommend it to you. Cool. Emmanuel, it does happen, right? I hope it doesn't happen to you right now, Emmanuel, in your current career. Spela, yes. Sue, yes. All right, guys. So that's clear, yeah? Good. All right, so let's go to the next one. The next one is elsewhere. Is a bit similar, is a bit higher, a slightly higher level of confront. It's a bit similar to being invisible. Let's say you got to do something again as a group or as a team or whatever, and now it's about to get started. Right now the activity is about to get started, and everybody's going to participate, and you feel like, oh, you know what? Gosh, I have to smoke before I can do this. I simply have to calm down. I have to smoke. Oh, there's a Starbucks. Just let me get a Starbucks. Let me get a coffee, and I just need to sit down and relax. And that's what I need to do. And then all of a sudden you show up. And that was actually being elsewhere. Or you're in the activity. Let's say you're doing all the cold calls to call the customers, and then you've been rejected a couple of times. And so, oh my God, you know, I'm losing it. It's 11:30. I'm gonna take my lunch now. I'm just no longer comfortable. I'm gonna take my lunch now. I can't do 30 more minutes of calls. And you decide to hit the road, so to speak, and go elsewhere. Yeah. Have you seen this in yourself or in others? Yes, lol, I know. The feeling the drama queen kicks in. Okay. Thank you, Tony. All right, Pedro, all the time. All right, Sue. Yeah. I need to do the laundry or finish that series. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Same thing. Some kind of a charge just kicks in, makes you feel uncomfortable. Your mind is no longer there. Your mind is somewhere else. You gotta do something, wander off, and go to the comfort zone, not do something that is producing an uncomfortable effect on you. All right? Okay, good. So now actually we're gonna step up, and we're actually going to get to experience and participation. So here it gets a bit more sane. Do these behaviors make me potentially add? Hang on, I don't get that, Sue. Do this behavior make me potentially? Oh, ADHD. Well, okay, guys, I'm going to be very blunt. Forget about the whole ADHD. Forget about the whole ADHD. Just forget about all this psychiatry nonsense. It is absolutely nonsense, guys. Why am I so blunt? Why? I'm even going to be offensive when it comes to this. Look, if you have a broken car and you bring your car to the garage, and you find a mechanic that tells you, sir or ma'am, this is a very intricate problem. We don't have the full answer to this yet. Why don't you come back in 4 years, and with a bit of luck, we'll have it fixed. You say, well, no way. I can't wait for 4 years for my car. Well, maybe the car mechanic tells you, well, how about 4 months? He said, no way. I'm not even giving you 4 days. I'm giving you 2-3 days to fix it, max, right? So, and why do you do that? You do that because you know that any mechanic knows his business. He knows the car on the inside and the outside. He knows an engine. And you can actually test his knowledge. You can say, well, Mr. Mechanic, what is an engine? How does it work? What is the root cause of the engine's problem? How do you fix it and put it back into a proper condition? And you're going to get very decent answers to all these questions. Now you do the whole thing in the mental field, in the mental health field. And say, well, Mr. Psychologist, psychiatrist, what is the mind? You're not going to get an answer. He'll probably tell you it's too hard for you to understand. It's too complicated. He will only tell you that because he doesn't know himself. And you say, well, what is the root cause of ADHD? What is the root cause? What causes that problem? He doesn't know. He hasn't got the faintest clue. He will tell you it's the neurons in the brain. Well, that's great. But it actually doesn't provide you with an answer. Then that's okay. So how do you fix it? Well, you know, we're going to be on tablets for the rest of your life. Well, that's not a fix. That's a patch on a wound. It's not a fix. It's a patch on the wound. Let's say your car goes ka-ding, 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 and your mechanic says, well, you got to live with it. You know, that's how it is. You know, that's what cars do. For the rest of your life, you just got to, you know, get used to pulling up and braking and pulling up and braking and pulling up and braking, because that's what cars do. You say, guy, go to the moon, you know, play your silly games elsewhere. It doesn't make any sense. So, and this is exactly the reason why people actually have lost confidence in mental health. That is why people have lost confidence, because it never produced any results. Not like a mechanic in a car shop. And now, having said that people lost confidence, that doesn't mean that it's all bad out there. There's actually some good stuff, but you have to find it. And some of that stuff is very hard to find because it's actually been suppressed. There's actually data out there that you're not supposed to know. Just go back to the times of the pandemic. There was certain data out there that was suppressed that you were not supposed to know. And so it is for the mind. We're going to get there at the end of the evening. So ADHD, I'm sorry, but you don't have it, okay? You simply don't have it. You won't get it. It is not ADHD. It's just a label. As there is a label for everything, and once you have a label, you can also administer a pill. But it's not that. ADHD is simply one of these phenomena. Very simple, and it can be handled. It can be bettered forever and over and out and gone. Good. So we get experience and participation. So what do we mean by that? Actually, the confront is going up, and the person is actually starting to experience his role or his part in the game, or his part of the challenge, or his part of the task, and is actually experiencing something. Now, let's say we take a seller, and the seller is trying to offer the solution to the client. And he knows what the solution is. He has listened to the client, and he knows what the solution is, but he's actually letting the customer going away without having done the sale, without actually having closed them, right? So he hasn't really fully fulfilled his duties. There's still something missing, but he's participating, and every now and then he's getting some results. Not to the full satisfaction of himself. He's sometimes doing okay, he's sometimes not so doing okay. When he would actually get more training, more drilling, more exercise, more experience, more knowledge on what he needs to do. And most of all, if he would actually have the tool on the mind and would crack whatever comes in between, he would actually become top-notch. Now, you've probably seen this, that there's certain areas in your life where you feel you can actually experience what's going on and participate. Okay? We go one more up, and that is beingness. So by beingness, we simply mean the state, the condition of actually having assumed a real identity. Let's go back to the sales process. And the seller has identified what the buyer needs, and he knows that his solution is actually going to solve the buyer's problem. He has no doubt in his mind, and he knows that if he would actually get the buyer to buy, that his problem would be solved. So, and he's so determined that he's not going to let this buyer off the hook, because he knows the buyer is going to have that same mechanism, and he might opt out, and he might do all kinds of other things, but he might not actually get the solution that he needs. So this salesman is taking 100% responsibility for the guy in front of him, making sure that he actually gets the solution for his problem. And he has assumed the beingness of a total certainty and a total responsibility for his own post, his own area, his own duties, his own job. And he has the you could say the awareness that he can actually produce that result again and again and again and again. And that would be a very high level of confront. If you get into this level of confront, this thing here is not happening again. You will actually be free of all these mental thingies going on, even being obscured, even invisible, just like we did at the beginning of the drill. And he'd be free of all these charges and unwanted emotions, unwanted feelings, because he is just very comfortable all the time to assume the right beingness. He could take the beingness as a father, he could take the beingness as a husband, he could take the beingness as a boyfriend, he could take the beingness as a coach, he could take the beingness as a neighbor. In other words, he could assume any role, and he wouldn't procrastinate because that thing wouldn't kick in automatically. The key problem here is that in any of these lower states, lower conditions, we still have this phenomena kicking in every single time. Okay, now, I hope I'm not losing you on this, because it's a bit dramatic, perhaps. So, but here a question. What would happen to your future? What would happen to your future if you would simply stay below this line? What would happen to your future if you wouldn't get into a proper beingness, but you would always stay in the lower condition of confront? How would your future look like if you would stay in Dublin many times, or you make yourself invisible, or you sneak out and you're being elsewhere, or you have some level of experience and participation in some areas in your life, but not in most areas or all areas of your life? What is going to happen to your future? What is it going to look like? I'm just being very, very frank, guys. We're just shooting at you with bullets. So being consistent with delivering results. Exactly. Good. So if you wanna keep it like this, you don't have to do anything. this will just continue the way it is in your life. And if you're happy with that, just don't do anything. You don't have to change anything in your life. That will just continue unless you have the feeling that you actually want to do something about it. Now, I'm speaking for me. Let me see. Okay, don't understand beingness completely. Well, that is from Emmanuel. Okay, beingness is just assuming an identity. That's all it is, just assuming an identity. If you have to be a salesperson, be a salesperson. Don't be in the role of the buyer. The buyer said, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, yeah, you're totally right. Yes, yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Or the buyer says, well, you know, I'm actually going to look around. I'm actually going to hear other people's opinions. And the seller once again says, oh, yeah, of course, that makes so much sense. But if the seller would actually know his stuff down cold, he would say, Mister, I think you got all the information you need, right? Are you normally a guy that listens to other people's opinions, or do you actually look for yourself? The buyer says, well, yeah, I'm looking for myself. Yeah. I'm coming to my own conclusions. And the seller says, that's very good. Not everybody's like you, but that's very good. That's a very good attitude. So I think this demonstration has been pretty convincing, right? And the guy says yes, and he goes on with the sale. In other words, the buyer has to assume the correct beingness. He has to take on the role that he's taking on in that moment and not shift or trade places. Good? All right, so we can't stay here forever, right? The world is a madhouse already, and we need competent people, and you, most of all, need a competent you. So how would you characterize procrastination based on one's emotions, remoteness, or emotional resonance? This mix of categories discussed could be a different kind of category altogether. We have to talk in person, Mikula. We have to talk in person. And I'm most willing to do that with you. So you can actually get a real answer to this. Good. Now, all right, guys. So there is actually a solution. We're coming to the end of the webinar. There is a solution. That is this book. And the book is actually called Dianetics. Dianetics means through the mind. The author sold more than 340 million copies of his books and his research. This is the only book on the mind which is about the improvement of your own potential. It's a book that accurately describes what the mind is, what holds you back, and how to fix it. Now, the book tells you that we're only using 10% of our abilities. We're only using 10% of our potential. That actually tells you why you're constantly operating in this area. That is because you're only using 10% out of your abilities. So, sorry to say, but that means in the name of science, you are failing to use 90% of your potentials. You're failing to use 90% of your abilities. And the first chapter in the book, it actually tells you where this 90% has gone and how you can actually get it back or develop it. Okay? And so furthermore, it actually explains to you why you keep procrastinating, why you have self-doubts, why you have unwanted fears, etc., and how to solve that permanently. So my suggestion is get your own copy tonight. We're going to have a link in the chat. Get your own copy. This is a book that is not like a religious book or something that you have to believe in. It is actually a book on the mind. It is very practical. It's something that you read, you realize more about things, and then you actually go into doing things. Could you pop that up again? Good. All right. So my my colleague did that. She's actually going to pop up a link, and with that link, you're actually going to see the promotion for the book. It's going to pop up, and I'm offering with that a free personality test and a free evaluation. That's a great personality test. It actually details 10 of your personality traits, and you can see instantly where things bog down and what you can do to fix that. Okay, guys, the chat is open. Like I said, the link is in the chat. I'm going to have a sip of tea, and I'm going to let you have a look. Like Dita says, the offer is only till 21:30, like half an hour. The offer is up to 9:30, so that's half an hour from now. All right, guys, so what is so great about this book? There isn't any other book on the planet that even comes close. This is the only book on the planet, the only book on the mind. It's an international bestseller. It remained a bestseller throughout the years. Currently, it's a bestseller again in certain parts of Europe. It's been on the bestseller list for a long time already, a couple of decades even. It is so big that you can actually have it in more than 50 languages. You can have it in Chinese. You can have it in simplified Chinese. It goes so far that you can actually get it even in Zulu or in Afrikaans, in Castellano, in Spanish, or even Latin American Spanish. You can have it in Portuguese, and you can have it in Brazilian Portuguese. Then you can have it in the, in the European languages up to like Ukrainian, Slovakian, Czech, Russian, you name it. Yeah, that's how big it is. And this is actually a book that is meant for people who want to be successful. Successful people use this because it is actually something that produces results. So my suggestion, stop procrastinating, get yourself a copy, read it, understand it, apply it, and things will change. I'm going to add to that a little personal story on myself, and that is I'm a trained engineer. I had a condition which was almost like a phobia. Perhaps it was even a phobia. One of the things that I couldn't do in the past was actually making phone calls. And it would go to the extent that I wouldn't even call the hairdresser for an appointment. It was that bad. Now, how do you survive as an engineer, or how do you survive as, whatever, in a company and not touching a phone? I mean, it's going to make your life very, very difficult. So I've been in these things, right? In making myself invisible, being elsewhere, all that kind of crap. And with Dianetics, I have actually been able to handle that condition up to a point where I actually like to be on the phone. You can put me on the phone the whole day, and I don't even care. I actually like to talk to people on the phone. Whereas years ago, before the advent of Dianetics in my life, that was utterly impossible. I even went to Latin America, or I should say Caribbean, because I discovered that over there you could just walk into any office, walk into any company, talk to the managing director or talk to the commanding officer or director, and just talk to the person face to face. And that wasn't a problem for me. But making a phone call, gosh, making an appointment, impossible. Just simply wouldn't happen. That is one of the many things that has changed for the better in my life because of this technology. All right, guys, we're past 9 o'clock. Has anybody who has a question at this point? First of all, I have to say you guys have been great in the chat. I love the participation. It's been awesome. So thank you guys. That has been wonderful. So at this point, does anybody have a personal question? If you would like me to reach out to you, because you would like to have a few words with me, or if you would like to chat with me perhaps on WhatsApp or whatever, or email, whatever, or you want to ask me a question in person and not in the group, totally possible. Maybe you want to put something there in the chat now and just say yes. And that's good enough for me. Then I'll reach out to you by WhatsApp or email, whatever. And we can do something. Cool? My only wish for you is, and I have that very, very strongly, my only wish for you is that you have the same pleasure in life and the same kind of advancements as people like myself and other people who have actually practiced Dianetics to make your life better, more fulfilling, more happy, getting things done, not being ashamed of yourself, not seeing yourself as a loser or a failure or whatever, just being very happy with who you are, happy with yourself, and happy for what you can accomplish. You know, have some pride. That is actually my genuine wish for you. The world needs that. You need that. And if you are moving in that direction, you'll notice that people will notice that too, and you will start to have a very positive effect and influence on your environment. Okay, guys. So remember the link is open till 9:30 with the promotion. Did you get something out of this? Was it somewhat informative? We only have 1 hour. Did you get something out of this? Did it answer your question a little bit with regards to what you can do about procrastination, or perhaps even how does it come about? Did you get some answers tonight? Okay, great. Manuel, yes. Nikula, yes. Okay, fantastic. So yeah, once again, guys, I'm not going to push it. If you do want to get better, get yourself a copy, start reading. It's pretty much the price of a hamburger meal. You can't go wrong. Even if you go wrong, then you say, okay, well, I wasted a hamburger meal. But you're going to have that and much, much, much. This is pretty much covered in a couple of pages. You're going to have a whole lot more in that book. You'll find out exactly what is holding you back. You're going to have these big realizations. Then you can actually start working on them and actually get your mental blocks out of the way. Guys, it's been a pleasure. A lot of fun with you. Thank you so much for your participation, for being here. Next week, we have another subject. Find out on Eventbrite, on Meetup, whatever we do. I don't know at this stage, but for sure, it's going to be another fascinating subject again. For now, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. For Sue, a great rest of your morning. And very much hope to see you next time again. Bye for now.